Hello everyone, Charlene here. Today I am going to be mixing some old with some new. I have the awesome Hoosier cabinet die set. This is from last year. I'm going to kind of scroll through here. You can see this is a really large die set. I have been wanting to make a card with this for a while, and I'm going to make a card with these brand new add-on dies for fall. How cute are these? It's a lovely set. You have these books, you have a basket, you've got pumpkins and gourds and apples and mushrooms and a leaf garland and pies and jam jars, just lots of fun fall things. So we're going to go ahead and start by picking out some cardstock. I'm going to keep the main cabinet pretty basic in that I'm going to cut all the pieces from white cardstock other than the drawer pulls and shelving. For those drawer pulls, door pulls, I've chosen some beautiful brushed gold metallic and then craft cardstock for the shelves. For the main base of the card, I have a top folding A2 size card base here. I'm going to show you how to create a shaped card base. So I'm going to line up the large die, but I'm going to make sure that that top portion does not cut through the cardstock. So I'll line it up, make sure it goes just over the top, and then to ensure everything is nice and straight, I'll use some Low-Tack tape to hold the die in place so that way it doesn't shift as it's going through my die cutting machine. So I'll remove now all of the cut off portions, take off my tape here, and you'll see now when this flips open, we're going to have this nice shaped card. I'm going to take that same die and I'm going to cut out a piece of dark red cardstock. This is what's going to create the inside color of our cabinets. So I'll start by putting together the main cabinet. I'll add some glue to the back of that single red layer. Then I'll adhere this to the top of the shaped card base that we created. And I'm actually going to clip off the red feet because I want the entire outside of my cabinet to be white. If you want the inside of your cabinet to be white, you don't actually need that extra red layer. The main piece here, I'm going to show you how fun this is. It cuts out these cabinet doors that can open up if you want them to, as well as these two top doors on the right and left. I want my doors to be open, so I'm going to add glue everywhere except the backs of those doors. And then I can layer it right over the top of the red layer, just being careful not to move it around too much. Now I'm going to fold open the doors, not all the way. You could do this before you actually put it on the base if you want to, but now you can see you have that fun pop of red from inside the cabinets as well as in the backing for the shelf. I have these 3 drawer fronts that I cut from white. You could glue them directly to the piece or you can pop them up for a fun look. I'm going to add a couple of thin foam squares back behind each of these drawers to add some dimension. Now there are embossed details so you can see exactly where each of the drawers should go. So I'll pop up this first one here on the left. I'll repeat that on the right hand side with the second drawer and then add the third drawer front. Next, I'm going to grab these 2 door fronts that have this beautiful subtle leaf embossing pattern on them, and I'm going to glue them directly over the top right and left hand door. So I'll add some glue to the back of the first one here and then line it up right along the edge of the door. I do like to do this with the doors open because I feel like it gives me a better sense of how the finished card will look. You do want to pay attention to the small embossed circle detail on the doors because that's where your door pulls will go. So I'm going to repeat that with these 2 kind of wider doors. These go on the bottom right hand cabinet. Again, paying attention to where the circle embossed detail is because that's going to show us where that door pull goes. So I'll add some glue on the back there and line it up along the edge on this right door. Did the same thing for the left-hand door. There's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could put together the entire piece before you add it to the card base. You could glue your doors down. You also could use lots of fun different color combinations. For this lattice piece here, there's also a frame piece that goes on top of it. I'll start by adding some glue to the back of the frame piece, and then I can layer it directly over the lattice, and it just gives this nice little detail on there. Now I can add some glue on the back here. If you wanted to have some fun pops of color, you could do your doors in the red as well as that frame outline in the red. It's really customizable with all these different pieces. I did add some glue dots here and there to where the pieces intersect, so that way I can make sure everything stays on really well. This would be really fun for any holiday, for birthdays, you name it, because you can really customize the colors. I've even seen this done in pink. Now this door is going to go on the bottom left-hand cabinet there. Again, paying attention to those embossed details. That really helps when you're going through and assembling large die cut pieces like this. If you pay attention to where the embossed details are for Honeybee, they make it so easy so that you know where to put everything. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small drawer fronts here. I'm going to glue these directly over where the embossed detail is, so different from those other drawer fronts that I popped up. Now, the thing with popping up the drawer fronts is you could also have lots of fun little things sticking out of the drawer. I'm not going to do that here just because I'm going to have a lot going on and I want to kind of keep this simple. You'll see as we go on. So now I'm going to add all of the door pulls and the drawer pulls. I'm just dotting some glue where that embossed circle detail was and then using a wax pickup tool to pick up those little brushed gold accents that I created. And I really like that the die cuts out extras because these little circles are easy to misplace and it's really nice not having to worry about that. For the shelves, I'll add just a little tiny bit of glue on the back, just enough to hold it down. If you get too much glue on little pieces like this, you can definitely dab them off onto a tissue or a piece of scrap cardstock. That's really, really helpful to make sure you don't have glue kind of squishing out from the edges. But my fine tip glue dispenser there, that makes it really easy to ensure I don't have that issue. These two long thin pieces are going to create the trim on the cabinet, so another place where you could add a fun different detail with colored or glitter cardstock. The shorter one goes along the top and then the longer one is going to go along the middle where the kind of counter would be. You also could pop these up with some thin foam tape if you wanted to. I like to use the flat side of my tweezers to help smooth these kinds of things down. You can see the cabinet is all ready to go, has those fun embossed details on there. And if you don't want your doors to open, you can just glue them directly down, but I'm going to put, I think in the top cabinets, a couple of fun little accent pieces. I'll grab my add-on dies here and start picking out a few pieces and some colors. I'm going to create things somewhat incrementally. I'm not going to create everything at once. Instead, I'll start with a few key pieces and then see what I want to add from there. So I have here the pieces that are going to create a fun basket. There are 2 layers to the basket as well as these 2 apple layers, and then I'll also create this fun leaf garland down here with different colored leaves. I've got a couple of jars here that are kind of like jam or jelly jars, and they have a cloth lid layer as well as a cute little string that's going to tie them closed. So I'll go ahead and pick out some colors for these. I've got everything ready to go here. I'll start by cutting my leaves out in several different colors. I have yellow, orange, red, and green. Next, I'll cut the strand from some wheat cardstock, and I'm going to cut both parts of the basket from that same wheat cardstock as well. For my apple pieces, I will cut the base from dark brown. That'll give us the stem. And then for the apples, I'm cutting them from the same red that I used for the inside of my cabinet. For the basket liner that sticks out, I have some ivory cardstock. Don't forget about your ivory cardstock. For the bases of my 2 jars, I have some white cardstock. And then for the cloth lids, I'm going to use some more of that ivory cardstock. For the inside of my 2 jars, I have some really pretty plum colored cardstock as well as a lighter shade of red. And then I'll use that same wheat cardstock to cut out what will be the twine around those lids. I'll start by putting together the apple basket. So I'll grab my apples. These are tiny, but they're really simple to do. So I'll add some glue first to the back of the apple, and that's going to layer directly over the larger piece. So then you have that nice little brown or green stem, whichever you choose, peeking out. I'm going to layer the top layer of the basket over with some foam squares so that way I can tuck in my apples, but I'm just going to put them along the bottom of that top layer because I want there to be room to make sure that I can kind of tuck in those apples really easily. So I'll take off the release tape and then just line this up right along the bottom of the basket. Adding some glue to the back of the apples, I'm going to tuck them inside the basket. So don't forget about all the different ways that you can layer, whether it's glue, whether it's different thicknesses of foam squares or foam tape, or you just cut out multiple layers of something and glue them together. I have the little piece here in white. This is meant to be the liner that kind of peeks out of the basket. Really fun design addition here. I love how Honeybee thinks of these tiny little things. So there is our super cute little basket. I'm going to put together my 2 jam jars. These layer really easily. You just add some glue to the back of the colored piece that you've chosen and line it up on the embossed detail. Depending on what color you use, these could represent all kinds of different things, right? Like jam, jelly, honey, you name it. You also could put, there's the mushrooms from the set. You could put those inside the jar. There's some an acorn in the set. You could put that inside the jar. So lots of different ideas there. You can add glue to the twine and add it on. This would be fun. Also cut maybe from some metallic cardstock or glitter cardstock. So there's our cute little jar. It's so adorable. I love how these small die cuts look. There's our second cute little jar. Now I did decide to cut another set of leaves, this time from that purple color that I used earlier, because I want to do a very large variety of fall colors on the garland, and I didn't want to repeat it. So I've got my red, yellow, green, orange, and purple there now, and I am going to close off those 2 bottom cabinet doors, but I want to make it known that they could open, I guess. So I'm actually going to add a little foam square on the inside so that it will hold them closed, but it will still pop up just a little bit to give the idea that there could be something inside those doors. And then this will make it easy for me to put the garland along the bottom. So I'll go ahead and add some glue to the back of my garland. And this I'm going to adhere right from one corner of the drawers all the way to the other corner. I'm going to stamp out my sentiment next before I decide if I want to add any more die cuts. I'm going to use this sentiment here that says, "Thank you for making my heart so full." This is from the Forever Grateful stamps and dies, which are perfect for fall, and they work lovely with this card as well as many others. I'll add some intense black ink here, and I'm stamping this out onto some white cardstock. This also would be fun to white heat emboss on some colored cardstock. I did want it to kind of blend in with the cabinet, but also pop with the red inset, which you'll see when we get to putting everything together here. So I'll die cut that out with my machine. I have some glossy accents here. I'm just squirting a little bit out onto a piece of scrap paper, and I'm using a needle nose bottle here. I love to use that for my glossy accents, and I'm going to cover all of the apples, and that's going to ensure that they are nice and shiny on our card. So I have this covered. Now I'll set it aside to dry. While that dries, I'm going to go ahead and cut out a few more things. I have some books here as well as this layered pumpkin. I'm going to cut the base layer of the pumpkin from some green cardstock and the top layer from a different color of orange cardstock. And then the books I will cut from purple, brown, and orange. I'll add some glue to the back of the pumpkin and layer it right over our green base. So that's going to give us our fun little stem. And then for the books, I want to put these in here on the shelf, but I want to have several different colors. easy to do. So all you got to do is grab some scissors, right? You don't have to use your die cuts as is. And I'm going to cut a few books of each color here just by using my scissors and running them along the edge. So now I have some brown, purple, and orange books to tuck inside there. I'll add glue to the back of each of them and line them up right along on the shelf on the inside of the door. So there is the brown, purple, and orange books. Super cute inside the cabinet. Add a little bit of glue to the back of the pumpkin we created, and I'll glue that to the center of this other shelf over here. I have a few more items I'm going to cut out for the other cabinet. These are actually from the main Hoosier set, so I'm going to cut out that layered cup with both layers from green, an oven mitt from purple, and a bowl from ivory cardstock. I'll add some glue here to the back of the top layer of the cup and layer it directly over the other layer. This just gives a fun little embossed detail to the cup. And now I can go ahead and finish putting everything together here. So I've got my apple basket. I'm going to add some glue along the bottom and layer it over the right hand side. I'll add glue to our purple jam jar here and put this right along the center of our shelf. And then I'll take the shorter red jar here and put that on the left hand side. Now I am going to put my sentiment over this middle section, so if you're not going to do that, you absolutely could just load that shelf up with all kinds of fall goodness and it would look really cute with, you know, the pumpkins and the gourds and the acorns and all that good stuff. So I'm adding glue along the bottom portion of the sentiment, but the top I am popping up with foam tape so that way we get a nice level surface once we're done. I'll add the cup and bowl here inside of the other open cabinet. So many different options here. I really wish I had actually made the pie and put it on the counter, but you know, hindsight's 20/20 and you can always make lots of cards, right? You don't have to make just one. So I'll put this cup here on the top shelf. I'm going to add my bowl to the bottom shelf back behind the top of that. I did decide to add a second oven mitt and I did that in this kind of pretty red color. I'll pop these up on the diagonal with some foam squares over that lattice work center that we have there. Then last but not least, I'm bringing in some white gel pen to run over all of the embossed details. So that's optional. It does change the look of the card. Afterwards, I couldn't decide if I liked it better with the white gel pen or without, but I do love the shine on those apples. So fun. I did add accents on all the leaves on the jam jars as well as the oven mitts. And then we have our fun little items inside those cabinet doors. It reminds me of like a pop-up book, right? From when you were a little kid and you could find things inside the doors. And a reminder, this is a shaped card, which is always fun, and it fits inside an A2 envelope. All right, everyone, I hope you picked up some tips and tricks today. Please be sure to like and subscribe as well as hit that notification bell so that I can continue to bring you more crafty content in the future. Until next time, happy crafting.